When you are monitoring and controlling project work, it starts with gathering work performance data such as planned value and earned value. These raw data points only become meaningful when you compare them and start to identify variance between actual project performance and planned performance. This meaningful work performance information tells you whether the project is ahead of schedule, right on track, or behind schedule. To calculate the schedule variance, or SV, you subtract the planned value, or PV, from the earned value, or EV. Let's use an example where the planned value of the project is $250,000 and the earned value is $225,000. Can you determine the schedule variance, or SV, in this example? You may pause the video at any time to determine the answer, and then resume the video when you're ready to hear the correct answer. If you said that the schedule variance is negative $25,000, that is correct. What does this mean for your schedule? If you need a hint, consider this. You have created $25,000 less in value than you planned to at this point in time. Does this mean you are ahead of schedule, right on schedule, or behind schedule? You can pause now and resume when you're ready. If you said that you are behind schedule, that's right. Now, let's consider an example where the planned value of the project is $500,000 and the earned value is $550,000. Can you determine the schedule variance, or SV, in this example? Pause the video if you'd like more time, and then resume. If you said that the schedule variance is $50,000, that is correct. What does this mean for your schedule? In this case, you have created $50,000 more in value than you planned to at this point in time. Does this mean you are ahead of schedule, right on schedule, or behind schedule? Pause now if you'd like to think about the answer, and then resume. If you said that you are ahead of schedule, that's right. When discussing schedule variance, a positive variance means your budget is ahead of schedule. A negative variance means your project is behind schedule, and no variance means you are right on schedule. Schedule performance can also be expressed as an index or a ratio. You still use the data points of earned value, or EV, and planned value, or PV, but instead of subtracting, you divide the EV by the PV. This gives you the Schedule Performance Index, or SPI. An SPI greater than 1 means our project is ahead of schedule. An SPI of exactly 1 means our project is right on schedule, and an SPI of less than 1 means we are behind schedule. Let's try an example where the EV is $600,000 and the PV is $500,000. Can you determine the SPI? Feel free to pause the video at any time and resume when you're ready. If you said that the SPI is 1.2, you are correct. What does this mean for our schedule? We know that we are ahead of schedule, or early, because the SPI is greater than 1. But just how early are we? An SPI of 1.2 indicates that we are running 20% ahead of schedule. Now that we have calculated the schedule variance and the schedule performance index, we have a pretty good idea of how our schedule is performing against the plan. If we find variance, we can make some decisions that realign our performance back to the plan. When we calculate the schedule performance, we are also calculating the cost performance and controlling the scope. Remember, these are the 3 triple constraints. If one area is performing well, it can be leveraged to help an area that is underperforming. Right now, we are just going to explore the relationship between time and cost and how they can be leveraged. In an ideal project, our budget and schedule will be running according to plan, and no changes will be needed. But what if we run into trouble and our schedule starts to slip? We review the budget and find that we are doing quite well in that area. Here is an opportunity to implement one of our schedule compression techniques to correct the schedule. Can you think of a good technique to use in this situation? You may pause the video at any time to determine the answer, and then resume the video when you're ready to hear the correct answer. Did you say crashing or fast tracking? In this case, crashing is the better of the two options. Crashing uses the available budget to add resources to scheduled activities, compressing the schedule and getting it back on track. Crashing can't be used on every activity, so it's up to the project manager and team to determine whether adding resources to this type of activity would reduce its duration. What's wrong with fast tracking? Well, fast tracking doesn't actually cost more. Fast tracked activities have a given budget, and that doesn't change when we shuffle the timing of the activities, so we aren't utilizing the available budget. Also, fast tracking can introduce new risks since the activities were intended to be performed in sequence, probably for a reason. In summary, a good project manager will be able to assess project performance, identify variances, and implement responses to bring the project back in line with the plan.